a good month for us in the past would maybe we would see 20 to 30 new patients. But since we started with one SEO, we're seeing, I think, gosh, at the end of March, we had seen almost 70 new cases in 1 month.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, hosted by Lance Bachman.
Everybody, welcome to the Den. I got Dr. Mark Legnola, chiropractor from Bluebell, which Money Magazine, coincidentally enough, named it one of the top 10 cities last year in the country to live. I don't know about that, but it's a nice place. Doctor, welcome to the show. Today we're going to talk about your business, how you grew it, what's going on, how advertising has changed, just about some of the cool patients you have and some other things. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, Doctor?
No, like you said, I'm Mark Legnola from Bluebell, Pennsylvania. My practice is Community Chiropractic Center. It's been myself and my wife, and we've had it for the last 25 years, and we love it. And we're really happy to be working with One SEO to let more people know how much we love it.
So, Doctor, let's jump right into it. Your business was founded in 1997. It's you and your wife. You've grown your business. It's been steady. COVID hits. You said March was brutal for you. April. You come on with One SEO, and just literally you get to hire a doctor this year. You're growing. Can you tell us about what that's been like emotionally for you? Because that's been a roller coaster, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, last March, last April, it was scary. I mean, we had watched basically 24 years of our life's work start to go up in smoke. I know today our office will see on a Tuesday, we'll see about 60 patients today. Last April, March, we were seeing about 6 patients a day. So not something to keep you solvent. And it was really a very scary time. Fortunately, it did start to turn around quickly. And one of the things was, I think, just changing our approach to how we were able to get in contact with people. We used to do a lot of things in the community, thus the name Community Chiropractic Center. We were involved in a lot of charities. My wife's on the board of the Patty Simons Law Enforcement Charity, which is a big food drive for the less fortunate in our area. And we would kind of use those relationships and our presence in the physical community to get out and meet people and to spread our word. Well, all of that came to a screeching dead halt back last March. So we needed another way to connect with the people in our community and let them know what we did, that we were still there for them, and that we weren't shut down, which I still have patients come up to me who I haven't seen in a while and say, well, when did you reopen? I said, well, we were never closed. So, but that was the impression. So yeah, it was scary times.
So what did you do? How did you pivot? What did you do differently?
Well, we realized that we weren't going to be going out and doing a corporate health fair for anybody anymore. We weren't going to be going to the local community events. So we were like, well, we need to let people know that we're out here. And we had a web page, but it was just a very simple web page, and we didn't really have any type of online marketing. So actually, through a couple of our other chiropractor friends who told us that they were using One SEO very successfully, they said, well, since you're not going out in the community anymore, you need to let the community know that you're here. So we contacted you folks, and the team put together a really nice program to let people know that we're around, we're out in the community.
Have you ever done digital marketing prior?
Not really, no. I mean, we had a Google My Business page. That's not true. We had a Facebook campaign a few years ago, but it was nothing like what we're doing here. So it was kind of a.
How has digital marketing driven new business to your chiropractic center, to your office? How has it gotten more leads, more patients? Tell us about that experience.
So that's really been fantastic. So just by being present, and obviously we have a reputation in the community that I would assume is good for 25 years, but people can find us now. People just call in. Like, we would typically, a good month for us in the past would maybe we would see 20 to 30 new patients. But since we started with One SEO, we're seeing, I think, gosh, at the end of March, we had seen almost 70 new cases in 1 month.
So you doubled your patient.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
in 1 month.
In 1 month. So people just, they know where we are, and it's not like I don't have to go out and spend my afternoon at a corporate health event or a Saturday at a health fair locally, which I don't mind doing those things, but the fact that I'm not dependent on them anymore is really nice.
It's actually almost you can breathe. Like I tell people ask me why I don't go to network events really. I'm like you're beating down bushes constantly, and when all you have to do is just save your money, put it into digital marketing, and your phone will ring, and it has someone that wants your services instead of trying to sell someone something they might not want or need.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a whole different thing. So let's talk about this. You know, is this the first time you ever hired another doctor?
Yes.
All right. Well, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you. Yeah.
So now you're moving from what I like to call the, operator, manager, to now you're becoming almost a business person, right? I mean, when you're in a business for 25 years, you're still a business. Like people still probably say, oh, you're a doctor. Well, no, you were owner operator. Now you're going from that to, you still might own and operate. Now you have other employees, another doctor. I'm assuming if you hired one, you're willing to scale to another, right? Because that's just how scale works. What was that decision-making process like for you, and what made you say, let's do this now?
Well, we knew, so my wife is also a doctor, so we had the two of us, and we realized that even with the two of us, we had kind of started to hit a ceiling of what we could do. And since we added, actually Dr. Mike Donahoe, who joined our practice, he and I worked together 25 years ago, so it was really fantastic because, well, he worked in a practice that was kind of beat down by the whole COVID thing. So it was fortuitous that he was available, and he's been a great fit. But like you said, my goal is to not be the owner-operator forever. I want to be the owner. I can work on my business instead of in my business, and that's been great. And we are actually looking. We have a couple of relationships with some of the chiropractic colleges around the country. We have got ads out in the some of the local, the Pennsylvania Chiropractic Association, because we do want to already add that next doctor because we feel like it would be good for us. It would be great for our patients, just to be able to provide more and better services.
I mean, I know you live in the top 10 place in the country to live. I get that, Doc. Why not just go acquire another one, right? I mean, right now they're being gobbled up left and right. A lot of acquisitions, a lot of mergers. I think you guys are going for about 2.5, 3 times EBITDA right now. Does that sound correct?
Yeah.
And a lot of chiropractic offices are losing money right now. So this almost seems like the time where you go in and just steal a client base, build it up, put systems, processes in place. Have you guys thought about that at all?
Yeah, we actually have. Well, part of this whole thing with hiring the one doctor will give us more time to go out and do that. Because one of the things that happened to us, which is a good thing, but we got so busy that most of our days are spent just handling the patient load. So as we bring in the next doctor or the next practice, that will allow myself or my wife to focus on a little bit more of that, because I'm sure there's somebody out there who's like, they got clobbered with COVID and maybe they want to come work for somebody else. Maybe they're looking to get rid of their practice right now. They just had enough. And we would love to be able to step in and take away and use our systems and processes to help them run a successful business or have them come work for us. So.
Well, most people don't understand, and that's what I say to people. A lot of people can go make money, just as much money, working for someone that knows what they're doing. If you're making, let's just say, hypothetically, $100,000 as a doctor, as a chiropractor's office, and you own it after you're paying all your bills, expenses, everything, it's great you say you work for yourself and you have a headache, all these things. You could easily pivot, go to a chiropractic office that knows what they're doing and make $100,000 and just come in and see patients all day, do paperwork and say, see you later, and not have any headaches.
100% agree.
And I say to people all the time, there's a big difference between owning a business and the business owning you.
Yep.
Big difference. If you like this content and you're trying to grow your business, follow me at Lance Bachman and Lance Bachman Digital on Facebook. LFG, time to grow. Where are you from, first of all? Where are you?
I grew up in Haddonfield, New Jersey, South Jersey.
South Jersey, okay.
Yeah.
What brought you over to the number 10 places in the country to live?
Yeah, well, it was an opportunity to get into a practice. I was working for someone else down in Atlanta, and another friend of mine said, hey, there's a practice for sale in Montgomery County. It was owned by a kind of a corporation, and they were looking to dump their practices. So my wife and I took it over, and that was that.
Because Haddonfield, New Jersey is pretty nice. That's by Marlton, right?
Yeah, it is. Haddonfield is a beautiful town.
Yeah, it is. Actually, I'm actually not familiar with that.
Yeah.
So in the 25 years of business, besides being in business for 25 years, what's your biggest success so far?
Probably in the last year, coming out of what was one of the worst months in the history of our practice, and then 12 months later being, on fire at a level that we've never been at, and looking to go even bigger and grow more.
If somebody would have told you the power of digital marketing 10 years ago, 5 years ago, would you believe them?
Probably not. No. So.
Now you'll easily believe that.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
What's your biggest failure for people watching? Because it hasn't been all. I mean, listen, 25 years, you're grinding, you're upset, you're flipping tables. It isn't. I mean, you're a pretty reserved guy. I get it, Doc. But there's been times you want to smash a picture. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So when we took this practice over in Montgomery County, at the time my uncle was, he's since passed away, but he was a very successful accountant. So we had him look at the practice. And he said, it looks okay. He said, but what I want you to do before you buy anything, I want you to call your state association and make sure that the people you're buying this from have a good reputation. And I think being very young and very arrogant, that statement went in the right ear and out the left ear. And so we bought this practice for a pretty substantial amount of money because on paper it looked like it was really good. Well, the people that we bought it from, we had them investigated later because it was all fraudulent, and they were convicted of wire fraud, bribery of a bank official, on and on and on. And our lawyer said, these are bad people, Mark. He said, you could sue them, you might win. He said, but you're never going to get your money back. So my advice to you is put your nose to the grindstone, learn your lesson, listen to your uncle next time, do your due diligence, and get to work. So our first year and a half, 2 years, and we had this huge banknote and a little bitty nothing practice. And that was, the first 2 years were tough.
How much sleep did you get those first 2 years?
None. None. It was awful. But a lesson learned early on to not make that mistake again.
Now, here's a question for you. You've been with your wife now. She's been working with you for 25 years.
Yeah.
How the hell is that?
So people ask us that all the time. They're like, how do you work with your wife? I could never work with my spouse. I'm like, it's all we've ever known from day one. And just like, any business partner, any couple, like we have our days when, I love her, but I don't like her. And I'm sure she might say the same thing back to me, but most of the time it's actually really good. Like from day one, we've kind of been through it, raising our kids, dealing with a business that was not what it should have been, what we thought it was. So it's good. It really is.
Let's talk about that, right? So the reputation of a business, especially, I don't care if you're a doctor's office, a digital marketing company, how important is your reputation, especially when you go out into the community? Can you talk about that? Because I think a lot of people take that lightly.
Yeah, it is essential. Your reputation is essential. So many of our patients, and a lot of times where your reputation exists these days is online. People say, well, my friend recommended you, but then I researched you online and you had good Google reviews, or you're part of this online chat group and everybody says you guys are good people and you'll take good care of us. And so, your reputation is everything. And it's not even just physical word of mouth anymore. It's an online reputation. So it's really important.
So talking about that, how is your results? Let's talk about two things. First, how your results been with One SEO?
Oh, excellent. Yeah, we started I think back at the end of November. So really, December was kind of like a get to know you, and then January we kind of got started. And Amanda and the team basically said to me, look, don't expect anything right away. Give it a couple months. And no complaints the first month, but by March it was on fire. So which was great.
Good.
So yeah.
How's the customer service been with my team? How's it been? Are they
tremendous?
Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah. So they treat us like we would treat our patients. We're not just, when somebody comes to us for chiropractic care, they're not just a person that is in our office. Like they're our family. Like we ask them how they're doing. We really want them to get what they came for. It's not just like, show up and get your adjustment and get out. Like we want them. If they're there for headaches, we want those headaches gone. We want them to be, and pleased that they came. So pleased that they would gladly say, you know what, my dad has back pain. My best friend has headaches too. Like I want to send them to you. I want you to do for them what you did for me. And when I talk to your team, I feel the same way. Like if I send an email, I get an immediate response. If I have a question, I get an immediate response. It's also nice that it's a team. You guys have, it's not just one person that I'm working with. It's a group of people who are taking care of our practice, and with different talents and different skill sets, and they all come together to put out a really nice product.
You made me think of something while we were sitting there talking. You said so people think chiropractic, this is what I thought chiropractor before I got to know the business so well was car accident, you go see a chiropractor, you get paid out by insurance claim, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it's so far from, like, my wife goes to a chiropractor here and there. She'll be like, oh man, like my back hurts. And she'll go and she loves her chiropractor. Like, I've never been to one. It's just, I just don't like people touch. Like massages, right? It's just not my thing, right? Some people like it, right? But it seems like if you are an athlete, we could talk about that if you don't mind, because I know you've worked on a lot of big time athletes.
Yeah.
You know, can you tell me why else besides a car accident? I think most people think car accident, chiropractor, right?
Sure, yeah.
Can you talk about what else people would go see a chiropractor for?
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that's also kept us really busy, and we can certainly get to the athletes, but people's lifestyle with the pandemic. There's a normal alignment that all of our spines should have, just like the alignment on your tires of your car. And throughout the course of our lives, we tend to get out of alignment. And sometimes it's through an obvious thing like, well, I played contact sports and I beat the heck out of my body. But more and more, we're seeing it because people have all these sustained postures, especially after 14 months of being stuck inside. And they'll say, well, my back hurts and my neck hurts. And I'll say, well, are you working from home? Yeah. Are you working on a laptop computer? Yeah. Are you sitting at your dining room table on a card table chair? Yeah. I said, well, your body's not built for that. So you're slowly pushing your body out of alignment. You're making your spine, putting it under physical stress. And things don't move well, which pinches nerves, which overworks muscles, which wears out joints. And then the short term of that is you feel lousy. But the long term is if you don't correct it, it causes arthritis and disc problems that people generally associate with age. And yeah, we do all wear out as we get a little bit older, but if you keep everything well aligned and moving, probably just like your wife starts to feel when she starts to get out of alignment, she's like, oh, I need to go and get lined up.
She feels 100 times better.
Yeah.
She swears by it. I mean, she doesn't go often, probably once every 2-3 months, but she swears by it.
Yeah, and that is the huge value, is the long term of keeping your joints, because they make replacement knees and hips these days, but they don't make backbones yet. So keeping those in good shape is really important.
You know, what about athletes? 'Cause I gotta assume with this day and age, like youth sports have gotten, I like to call it bizarro world, crazy, right?
Oh, yeah,
I'm one of those dads too, though, so I can't say nothing. But you know, are you seeing kids, a lot more teenagers coming in? Are you seeing adults? Is it older people? What are you seeing? Or is it just
so we see the gamut. The younger kids. We see a lot of middle school and high school athletes, wrestlers, tennis players, track. Anybody who's doing a lot of just high-intensity activity. And then you combine that high-intensity activity with sitting in front of a computer or spending hours looking down at their cell phone. And it really starts to mess with their body, that dual lifestyle between the sedentary academics and then demanding that your body perform at this high level. And it just puts a lot of stress and strain on their joints. And being in proper alignment and having good movement helps a ton. One of my patients a couple years ago, her name, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I shared her name. Her name is Dana Walton. And Dana was the 8-time world track cycling champion. She was a sprinter on a bicycle. And her legs were really, really powerful.
But they were.
Yeah. And when we would come in, and she would come in for a checkup, she would say, I can tell my pelvis is out of alignment because I don't have full power when I ride the turn on my bike. And I would muscle check her, and when I would do a muscle test when she was out of alignment, I could easily overcome her leg muscles with my arm, which I promise you her leg muscles are way stronger than my arm, probably my whole body combined. But once we line her back up, she would say, the power's back in. And I can feel that because I'm lined up better, I have more efficient movement. I have better mobility. And that she really felt like that was the key to her success in keeping her mobile. I know her husband's a pro cyclist too. They since moved to Georgia, but they tell me, we found somebody in Georgia. They're like, he's not as good as you. I'm like, okay, whatever. But
yeah.
Well, one of my other patients, he's a huge Notre Dame fan, was an alum. When he goes out to Notre Dame, he's got himself an appointment with the Notre Dame chiropractor. Every varsity athlete in the Notre Dame program has access to their team chiropractor for, I think, he said 15 hours a week this guy is available because Notre Dame. And he's not their injury guy. He's their prevention guy. Their athletes see him to keep themselves well aligned and to keep themselves mobile so they have a lower incidence of injuries to begin with. Like if they get hurt, they have a whole nother protocol that they go through. So all 32 NFL teams now use a chiropractor. And again, I'm sure they have protocols when somebody blows an ACL, and that's not your chiropractor, but these guys are seeing chiropractors and the athletes so that they can optimize performance and minimize injury. And that's one of the huge values of chiropractic. So
You said something though. You said people were looking on their mobile devices. Do you have children?
yes,
How old?
17 and 14.
All right. So you have to be on social media for your business.
Sure.
Are your children on social media?
You know, neither one are actually.
Neither one.
Yeah.
And you're trying to fight that off?
Yeah.
Can you
So-
tell us why? I mean,
Well,
I know why. What
yeah.
I would think as a father.
So obviously there's the whole issue of like, it's easy to hide online. You know, there's bullying and other things that could go on. But just the lifestyle of it. So my daughter is an athlete. She is a competitive dancer. She's very good. She's incredibly flexible. She's also a gymnastics coach, so she understands conditioning and movement. I can see such a difference in her in the last year from being homeschooled because school was at home for a while, because she does her homework on a little tiny Chromebook and she sits still for hours a day doing her homework. And then she goes and she tries to dance. And then so there's the physical aspect of that. The sitting still all the time, it even affects the kids. My 14-year-old, the same way, I can feel how stiff his back and his hips are from sitting at his desk all day. But then also, there's, people can be abusive online as well. So
Can be. The majority of people are abusive because they're insecure. It's insanity.
yes, I agree.
I go through it and I look at what people do on social media and I'm like, have any of these people, they would never speak this way in front of your face.
No, they would not.
They would have no teeth.
Right.
Number one. Number two, it's insane the things they say and bring up. And
Yes.
I'm like, it just shows you the venom. My children will not be on social media either. It's just, I kind of agree with you on this.
Yeah.
Like, wait till you're 18, 17. Like,
Yeah.
it's just no good comes out of it. And the bullying, and the problem is this: if your parent's an asshole, there's a very good chance your kid's going to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Just, I hate to say that, but
No, it's
just go look at the profiles.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's true. I see. Sometimes I'll go on and I'll, like you said, I'll read through things and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
How's your mom and dad not saying something to you?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
how's no one
yeah.
saying anything to you?
Even adults do it too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm 47 years old.
Yeah.
I see what my peer group says to
Right.
each other and how they talk, and I laugh. I'm like, okay. And wait till you see what happens in your children's generation, because it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse and worse. What are your next goals for your business, right? Because I'm not going to call it a chiropractic office because now it's becoming a business. You're adding other
Sure.
doctors, you're hiring
Yeah.
more. What's your next goals for your
So
business?
our next goal is to hire another doctor in our current location so that I can start to reduce my treatment hours so I'm not seeing as many patients. So I can, again, work on the business, not in the business, and become more of an owner than an owner-operator. And then we're going to start looking for their second location. And maybe that is going to come because we find somebody who's struggling and wants to change their game a little bit, and we'll take over their office, or maybe we end up creating our next physical location on our own. But that is the next goal. We need to reduce the dependence of the business on me being there physically, and then I'll be able to help grow the business in other ways.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
It really is.
It's very exciting.
Now on the final roar, Doctor, how has digital marketing transformed your business, and what would you say to other business owners out there that are thinking about doing digital marketing?
It has made a world of difference for us. So obviously I mentioned that the practice grew tremendously. And I think I touched on it, but one of the things that it has allowed is that I did have a marketing person before, but it still required a lot of my personal time to work on marketing. Now, because One SEO provides me with a team, I can send a couple of emails, have a few conversations instead of hours of my time every week. It's maybe an hour of my time every week that I spend looking at things, which frees me up to do other things. So that's number one. As an owner, it creates the most valuable commodity for me, and that is time. And then secondly, it's effective. Like as we just talked about, where are people these days? My kids spend all day on a computer in school. When they're not at a soccer game or a gymnastics camp or whatever, they're on their devices. So people look at computers, they look at cell phones, tablets all the time. So I think this is this is how people do business these days. And if you're not doing business that way, I think it's foolish. So I think it's definitely transformed our business in a good way.
Doctor, thank you so much for being on the Den. I wish you good luck in your transition from manager to business entrepreneur and open that second location. Trust me, it'll be the best thing you ever did.
Thanks.
Thank you.